So Jamie, Simon, lovely to meet you both. Now, the mousetrap. Tell me, how many pensioners have gone to see this film thinking it's a film version of the West End stage play?
We don't
That,
we don't know fully because what happens is a lot of ambulance get called when they don't realize that that's not what it is, and they have some sort of onset of a heart attack or something. So we're still waiting for the actual data to come in fully.
Right,
I
okay.
tell a really quick story that I went home to where I'm from in Canada and Cape Breton and played the movie in front of my select people in my hometown, and my parents, who are both 76, invited their pensioners club. So I walk into the cinema that we're and I saw a bunch of old biddies all at a table, and I'm like, oh, why are you ladies here? They're like, oh, we're here for the Mickey Mouse movie. Like, well, did anyone tell you what it is?
How,
Oh, it's
how
gonna
many
be great.
how many heart attacks did it induce?
Like three or four.
So, in all seriousness now, the Mickey Mouse character, just come out of its copyright at the very beginning of this year, 2004. So how did all of this come about in the first place in terms of being aware of the copyright and getting the idea to kind of, yeah, we can make a movie out of this?
Well, the copyright was no secret. Like they actually fought for an extra 20 years to keep it under copyright. It was supposed to be expired 20 years before January 1st. So it was, everyone knew this. This was a no self-guarded secret. But Simon actually had the idea and jumped on it. It was his idea to make this movie.
Yeah, and it was based on the earlier, but I suppose you saw what the people at Winnie the Pooh did, the Blood and Honey movie. They made a Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Yeah.
Um, and when they were just taking that thing. So I thought that was a great idea. Maybe not a great movie, but a great idea certainly. And we just took that the next step a little bit. But people were very when I mentioned it to Jamie. Thankfully, he was very receptive. Everybody else was kind of like, man, Disney are going to sue you, like you're not going to be. And I said, no, it's come like Winnie the Pooh is passing into public domain. They're like, yeah, but Winnie the Pooh was a book. The Mickey Mouse is created by Disney. It's also their trademark. Mickey Mouse is kind of more complicated, legally than Winnie the Pooh will be. I was like, but the premise was still, well, it's in public domain. It belongs to the people now, sort of, and that's what public domain IP is, sort of. And everyone was
It
like,
made
kind
people
of,
very
yeah,
nervous.
very nervous. But they were kind of like, yeah, they were like, yeah, you go for it. And I was like, do you want to help us? And they were like, no, 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 no. I don't want to be involved in that at all. You guys, you like Disney are going to take your homes, your dogs. They made Disney out to be a huge bully, and of course, we would later know that wasn't true. But we have to jump through way more legal hoops, I think, than me and Jamie have ever done for any film cumulatively altogether to get it to screens.
So your legal consultant for the production must have earned his money on this.
You're implying that there's just one. We had an
Oh,
army
right.
of lawyers. There was an army of people. We had to have lawyers in different countries as well. So the legal guy for America and Canada was not the legal guy for the UK because the copyright law is slightly different in each country. So there's like an army of people have to, legally, and it's not just one lawyer. It's a bunch of these guys.
So the actual image of Mickey Mouse, the Disney image of Mickey Mouse, you've not used that, I guess, for obvious reasons. So how did you arrive at the image that you've used for the mask in the Mousetrap?
Well, I
So
mean,
that might, yeah, go on,
yeah,
sorry, Jamie. Yeah.
go ahead, Simon.
Well, the mask is based on, so you can use the 1928 Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. So that image is copyright free, if you like. It's in public domain now. So you can actually use that image. If I wanted to put just that image on a poster and sell it, you could use that image's thing. The complication, not to get too much into the nitty gritty, but is the trademark. Mickey Mouse's ears are actually trademarked. So if you look at our poster for the movie, you will actually notice that he doesn't have. Sorry, your mind does a lot of this work for you, but it's actually zoomed in on his face. You don't actually see the ears. I mean, they're there, but that's sort of your mind filling in the gaps here. So we have to get around both copyright law, which is easy because it's in public domain, but you also have to be careful of trademark law, which is still active. And the problem is that the image of Mickey Mouse, the sort of iconic image of Mickey Mouse that you and I and Jamie probably grew up with, is a more developed Mickey Mouse. It's sort of, he has the white gloves, the red jumpsuit. He has he has pupils in his eyeballs. The one we're talking about is a black and white. He doesn't have the white gloves. He doesn't have eyebrows. He doesn't have sort of and his eyes are all black. So it's a much more basic image, and it's the one that's available to us. So when we were making the movie, we just had to be very careful to make sure that we were observing that. Like our Mickey Mouse is a black and white Mickey Mouse, even though he's in a color movie. Like the mask is actually black and white if you look at it.
And the other thing I was going to ask you about is, apart from the image itself, is the voice of Mickey Mouse. Now, the voice of Mickey Mouse is high pitched. Your killer in this, obviously, it goes in the other direction. Was there much debate, sort of yourself, Jamie, and Simon, about how that role was played, sort of voice-wise, or was the voice copyrighted as well?
Well, don't forget the 1928 Steamboat Willie didn't have a voice.
Oh, it's
right?
silent. Yeah, of course.
It was a silent movie, but we definitely couldn't use the contemporary version because that wasn't in a copyright. But so yeah, and it was also Killer Mickey Mouse. So Simon kind of developed a different. We didn't know what that was going to be. We kind of decided that the last hour when we were in post production. But Simon developed. You want to talk about how you developed that, Simon?
Well, yeah, it was just as Jamie said there. We knew that we had, like, copyright wise, we actually had to avoid the high pitch thing. So any sort of mimicking of that sort of what you might consider a traditional Mickey Mouse, was always, it was a latter iteration. And also, if we're sticking to our copyrights, it should just sound something completely different. So when I was doing it, I was thinking I wanted to sound a bit childlike and menacing, but I definitely didn't want to go high pitch. I mean, this suited me a little bit vocally anyway. I don't think I could do the high pitch thing, but I was all up for somebody else doing the voice. In fact, we had a couple of tests. Do you remember, Jamie? We had a couple of people do have a
that's
stab
right. I
at.
kind of forgot about that. We had like 5 or 6 people trying to develop a certain kind of.
Yeah,
voice.
when we filmed it, we didn't actually. I don't even know if I said the dialogue or whatever, but we weren't paying attention to it much when we filmed, so because we knew it would be a post-production process. So it only came alive in when we were messing with the edit, and because Jamie needed it then for timing at that point, and we had a couple of people test, but nothing really sat right. Because people were either trying to mimic Mickey Mouse, and every time we said, "Oh, we want it," it sort of should have an element of cartoony, something to it. There should be something sort of larger than life to it a little bit. It shouldn't sound too real, like a person speaking. It should sound something. We were going to do at one point. We were going to make it like Bumblebee and Transformers. We were going to use clips of. He was going to use clips of cartoons speaking, but we couldn't get it. We couldn't get it to work quite right. So we settled on. When we got to this, we kind of set. When we got to this, actually, we settled on this. I don't think we ever looked back and then second guessed it after that.
So when the first trailer dropped for this back at the beginning of the year, which I think was January the 1st, the film was titled Mickey's Mousetrap. And yet when we've come to the release now, it is called The Mousetrap. So what was
again, part of the wonderful legal journey that we went on.
Right.
We had to get errors and omissions insurance, and one of the requirements after a long search to find the company that would give it to us and not cost $1 million was that they asked us to change the name from Mickey's Mousetrap to The Mousetrap.
Because going on from that with The Mousetrap, obviously you've got
Sorry,
I was going to say you've got the Agatha Christie West End play. You've also in the UK, and Simon probably is aware of this, you've got the game Mousetrap as well.
Yeah. So
go on.
Sorry, two things. You can't copyright a title. Like Simon was saying this in the last interview, that you can have a movie called Star Wars, but it can't be set in space and be like a space opera kind of thing. But you can have a different kind of movie set in a different place called Star Wars. But also too, the Mousetrap is a board game, so it's not a movie. So it's like it makes it less complicated. They can make a movie out of a board game, but because it was originally a board game, it's not exactly the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes all perfect sense. So then finally then, having watched the film right through to the very end, you have an end credit scene. So it sets it up very clearly for a sequel. How is that progressing?
Well, we've announced that already. So there is definitely a sequel on the way. The Mickeyverse, and we're kind of pitching it as a Joker, Harley Quinn, but it's Mickey and Minnie kind of thing, and it's going to be much bigger than just those two characters. We're going to play with a whole bunch of characters, maybe a few that you probably wouldn't expect.
Go on.
We have a very fun concept for the sequel that hopefully will have released by 2025.
Can you give us a hint as to what that might be?
Well, who the other characters would be?
Yeah.
No.
No, Jimmy, you can't.
Spoilers.
We have to listen, Simon. We have to save something for our publicity later.
Right. Okay.
Listen, Mickey and Minnie teaming up is enough for you now, but it's right. It's definitely not the complete ensemble.
But we're definitely gonna have a lot of fun with it, and we're gonna play with characters that I don't think anyone's really thinking about, in a really fun, unique way, is what I will say.
So you've mentioned about the Winnie the Pooh horror version, Blood and Honey. Is going further down the path? Can you see a crossover with both films or universes?
I'd be open to that. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. We love those guys. Well, they kind of kicked off our inspiration to sort of in terms of creatively being able to look at something crazy like this that we're doing. So I mean, yeah, we'd love to do that, or we'd love to bring one of their people over to our world. Maybe Winnie the Pooh. I don't know. Sort of it's all to play for. So
That's great.
I think me and Jamie view it as the Marvel and the DC universe. We're sort of run next to each other, but we're slightly in competition with each other. But there's definitely crossover room.
Yeah, give the people what they want.
Great. Thank you for your time, Jamie and Simon. It's quite something. It wasn't what I expected it to be, especially one element of how Mickey Mouse moves around as well was not what I was expecting. But I won't go into that. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So thank you both, Jamie and Simon. It's been a privilege to speak to you both. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Cheers. Bye now.
Take care. Bye.